Creepy exorcism cases too believable to ignore. Part 1.
If you are brand new to our channel, we invite you to take a moment to subscribe. Just click on the lit red button as well as the gray bell. Why the bell? Well, it will let you know every time we post a new video.
1. Roland Doe. Roland Doe's exorcism was so haunting that it made headline news, and he was given a pseudonym to protect his true identity. William Peter Blatty, who saw the headline article in the Washington Post, later went on to write a book about the ordeal, which became the 1974 movie, The Exorcist. At 13 years old, Roland spent time with his aunt, who introduced him to the Ouija board. His aunt died, leaving the boy devastated. It has been said that he even attempted to contact her in the afterlife using the board. It was later discovered that Roland was possessed, and he was admitted to a Catholic healthcare center called Alexian Brothers Hospital in St. Louis, Missouri. His symptoms were abdominal pain, hearing odd sounds, and fluctuating body temperature. At the hospital, an exorcism was performed by Father Bowden and a group of priests. Father Bishop, who was present, kept a diary of the events. He claimed that there were periods where the bed shook, the boy would scream, and mimic the priests, and one of the priests was injured by a bed spring. After several rites of exorcism were carried out on the boy, he was cured. Just before the demons released him, the boy finally cried out, "Satan, I am Saint Michael. I command you to leave this boy's body now." Roland Doe lived a healthy life following the exorcism, but has never spoken of the event since. 2. Pope Francis's exorcism of a young man. Pope Francis has been responsible for a renewed interest in exorcisms in the last couple of years, mostly because he has had no problem bringing up that the devil does exist. He's also very vocal in making points to avoid having dialogue with Satan. It is also believed that Pope Francis himself performed an exorcism in Vatican City in 2013. The Pope approached a man in a wheelchair following a mass at St. Peter's Square. He pressed his hands on the young man's head with enough force to push him down into the wheelchair as he prayed. The young man exhaled deeply, and his mouth dropped with a guttural sound. Then the man slumped back down into the wheelchair. Pope Francis's smile resumed as he walked away, but the young man's face was etched with anger. The Vatican has taken a silent stand in recent years when it comes to matters of the devil, so it makes sense that they claimed that the Pope didn't intend to perform an exorcism. However, exorcists were surveyed about the matter and the majority agreed that it looked like an exorcism. 3. Anneliese Michel. You might remember the 2005 movie, The Exorcism of Emily Rose. In the movie, a priest is being tried for the neglect of Emily, who died during her exorcism. Well, the real-life story is that of Anneliese Michel. Anneliese requested the exorcisms herself after being diagnosed in 1969 with epilepsy and later with depression, the tknow effect. She claimed to see people's faces around her distort into those of demons. The exorcisms went on for months, from early 1976 until her death later on that year. Michel underwent a total of 67 rituals based on the rites from 1614. While Anneliese was being exorcised, she would lick her own urine up off of the floor, eat spiders, and once bit a bird's head off. In the recordings you could hear her voice change with demonic, inhuman sounds that were not her own. The cause of her death was dehydration and malnourishment from refusing to eat. A doctor was never brought in during the exorcisms. Both parents and the two priests were found guilty of negligent manslaughter. 4. Latoya Ammons. Latoya Ammons and her 3 children began experiencing what they felt were paranormal activities after moving into their home in Gary, Indiana, in November of 2011. Soon after moving into the home, the family began experiencing unexplained phenomena. Latoya and the children also showed signs of demonic possession. They would get bulged eyes, crack evil grins, and their voices would deepen. One of the boys became violent and talked about how it felt to be killed. Another began talking to an unseen boy in the closet, while the daughter was seen levitating. All of the children would move as if being slung or thrown, while nobody was touching them. Latoya and her children were exorcised by Father Maginot, but only Latoya's process was revealed to the Indianapolis Star, as she didn't want her children to be named. Latoya underwent 3 exorcisms, 2 in English and 1 in Latin. In each one her body would convulse, and she would pass out. Latoya's family returned to normal following her 3rd exorcism, and after moving back to Indianapolis, Latoya's possession and exorcism was documented by the courts, hospital staff, police and DHS workers, who were all involved. This case changed the opinions of many non-believers, and the Gary house was demolished. 5. David Glatzel and Arne Johnson. David Glatzel was 11 in 1981, when he was possessed and exorcised. The Glatzel family had recently moved into their new rental home in Brookfield, Connecticut. Glatzel began to complain about being choked, thrown, and pushed by forces unseen by his family. He also gained over 60 pounds over just a few months' time, and had episodes that were related to night terrors, leaving the boy with cuts, scratches, and bruises all over his body. The family contacted a local priest from St. Joseph's Roman Catholic Church, who performed the ritual cleaning of the house. The cleansing did not work, so the family contacted the Warrens, who are well known for their ghost hunting, especially from the series of movies based on their cases called The Conjuring. The Warrens claim to have recorded a series of 3 exorcisms conducted by no less than 4 priests. All parties involved at the time agreed that during the exorcisms he growled, cursed, scratched, and snarled. 6. Nuzo Enoh. In some cases exorcisms are performed, and the person being exorcised was never really possessed at all. Such was the case of Nuzo Enoh, a British writer, who was born in Nigeria. She came out with her own real-life inspired tale of exorcism, while working on a book. The purpose of the book was to make others aware of the dangerous rituals of exorcism that still go on in Africa. Her book was meant to raise awareness of what she believed should be considered child abuse. Enoh was deemed possessed by her local church as a teenager, although she believes it to have been a simple case of rebellion. She was taken to a river in the middle of the night and smeared with coconut oil and raw eggs. Afterwards she was dunked under the water to rid her of the alleged water demon. Enoh believes herself to be lucky, as a childhood friend was once flogged to death in a similar ritual. 7. Clara Germana Cele. Another spooky case is that of 16-year-old Clara Germana Cele. Clara was born in Africa and had been baptized as a baby, despite being orphaned at an early age. She was attending school at St. Michael's Mission in natal South Africa when she made a pact with the devil. Her symptoms consisted of speaking several languages, having clairvoyant capabilities and levitation. One nun said that her voice sounded like a veritable herd of wild beasts orchestrated by Satan had formed a hellish choir. Her exorcism ended badly when Clara strangled one of the priests with their own stole after flaying the Bible from his hands. Clara was cured of her demons following her exorcism. 8. Maurice Theriault. Maurice Theriault was a tomato farmer whose exorcism was recorded on video. For years his family endured erratic changes in his behavior. He possessed inhuman strength, and crosses would appear on his skin. He would also get angry and abusive, while threatening to kill his wife and children. His family was also plagued by unexplained paranormal events like furniture moving on its own and unexplained sounds. Apparently, they even claimed to catch his head splitting wide open on tape, and it does appear that a cut opened up across his temple. It was claimed that Theriault was cured as a result of the taped exorcism. Years later, Maurice nearly shot his wife. He somehow fought the urge of his demons just long enough to fire the gun into his own head instead.